Good morning, folks. This is Deb Delapiana, and this is your short take. You know, this is now day 2 of our postmortem on the midterms, and there's probably going to be a few more of these days because we still aren't done in several areas, but we're not going to talk about those just yet. We're going to talk about the red tide that wasn't, the red wave, the red whatever, the red, cholera attack, whatever you want to call it. So we want to talk about 4 states in the union, right? And there are 4 M's, by the way: Massachusetts, Minnesota, Michigan, and Maryland, who achieved what Dave and I talked about in a previous video, the trifecta, which means that not only are both houses of the legislature in Democratic control, but so are the governorships. In one of those states, the transformation is magnificent. As slim as those leads may be in the legislature, they're leads, okay? And it was never designed to be this way by the GOP. Gretchen Whitmer, who has done yeoman's work protecting women's right to choose in that state, working with her legislature, who was totally uncooperative for the most part, deserves this victory. And not only did she beat Tuda Dixon, but she beat her by double digits. And, Gretchen Whitmer is now the darling of the Democratic Party, and rightfully so. She not only did in Michigan, did they retain the legislature, but they retained the Secretary of State and the Attorney General. So that's a Democratic victory. These are all victories, by the way. Massachusetts has always had a traditionally Democratic legislature, both houses, but they have flirted with Republican governors, most notably our previous governor here before Maura Healey won. We've had Frank Sargent back in the 70s. We had Bill Weld. We've always had that kind of hybrid government here that's managed to peacefully coexist, although, the Republicans did get in the way of a lot of things for, our last governor, Charlie Baker, who was not a MAGAt governor and did not want to play ball with Donald Trump and really pissed him off a few times. But he kind of stymied the whole climate change legislation here in Massachusetts. We have an opportunity to do something different here now with a Democratic Party governor. So that's significant. In Maryland, same thing. Both houses of the legislature and the governorship, as well as in Minnesota. So the one hang up we have on the Senate side is a runoff race in December 6th, between Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker. And I have to confess to you, I have no fucking idea how this possibly could even be a thing. I would, there's any 2 other opposing, whatever you want to call them, candidates that I could see going head to head. But I want you to consider this, okay? 88% of evangelical Christians voted for Herschel Walker over an actual real reverend, the Reverend Warnock, who has already served in the legislature and has proved he is more than qualified, okay? Instead of voting for a real reverend who actually helps people and protects people's rights and is respectful, they voted for a man who can barely put a sentence together. That's the first problem I have. The second problem I have is that he is a known abuser of women. He has concealed children that he has fathered with women, many of them not his wife. And he has also paid for abortions for these women and pressured them into having abortions. A man who is, by all political assessments, virulently anti-abortion, no exceptions, even in the cases of incest, rape, and the mother's health. And yet we have 88% of the evangelical Christians voting for that cretin over an actual real guy, Raphael Warnock, who, has served with distinction in that state. And you really do have to worry, but we've tried all of the, moral approaches to sullying our friend Herschel's character. So now we're going to go with he's totally fucking unqualified for the job, which he is. I'm not sure what else we could do. If we tried to hammer home any more about his lack of character and his low-life antics, it certainly isn't working. So we need to go to plan B. It's amazing to me that, when people ask me why I don't trust evangelical Christians, well, this is like one of the reasons. Judgment might be a little problem here. Also, let me just reiterate that we have a man here who claims to have 12 personalities. I wonder who's going to show up for work on the first day. This shit isn't funny. Well, it is, but it isn't. And, I just can't even. So we're telling you right now, the state of Georgia, you need to wake the fuck up. Okay, it's Raphael Warnock. If you have any hope of retaining any credibility because you gave Marjorie Taylor Greene 66% of your votes. Okay, a woman who is, at best, a slouch. All right, you're paying for her salary to sit out there and waste taxpayer dollars. And now she really wants to be Donald Trump's running mate, just so you know. Okay, and he actually thinks she'd make a great attorney general. What the fuck, people? Where is your brain? So before we close, let me just go over a few other things so we all understand where we are, because we're going to be back over the next few days. I am absolutely positive. Right now, Kari Lake is still behind in the race for the governorship of Arizona. She's now behind Katie Hobbs. I don't have the numbers. I think it's like 26,000 votes now. It has changed. I'm pretty sure it's somewhere around there. Don't quote me on that. You can look it right up. Look, just type it in. Mark Kelly remains ahead of Blake Masters also for the Senate, and that's a good thing. He just received a new batch of votes from Maricopa County, so he has widened his lead. In the meantime, in Nevada, Catherine Cortez Masto and Adam Laxalt. Adam Laxalt is the Trump candidate. He still leads Catherine Cortez Masto, but his lead is shrinking. We don't know where that's going to go. We're still waiting for a lot of House seats, especially out in California. But for the first time now in quite some time, a normally conservative Washington Post, at least normally conservative on these topics. I'm not calling them a conservative outlet by any stretch. They're not. Postulated for the first time, is it possible for the Democrats to retain both the House and the Senate? Well, yes, it is possible. Is it probable? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. But either way, the Democrats remained far more resilient this time than ever in history. History over the years, going all the way back, has taught us that the reigning party in the White House loses either the House or the Senate. And usually the losses are bigger than what we're seeing here right now. That's tradition, whether it's Republicans or Democrats. It's kind of just the way it goes. People do take the midterms off sometimes. So what we're seeing here is no red wave and no big seat overturning either, by the way. We'll see where this all goes over the next several days. But contrary to what you're being told by Kari Lake, who is Donald Trump's emissary of bullshit on this planet, no one's stealing this election from her. The votes are being counted the way they've always been counted in Arizona. There is no election fraud. We're at it already. And, all I can say is, for all of the people I was anticipating coming into my store with their, little posturing over the red flag and the red wave and the red tide and whatever they want to call it, they've been amazingly fucking quiet. And that's a good thing. I'll talk to you guys later.